Greetings, people. So my journey started, the healing journey started when I was 26. I had a girlfriend at the time. She had some real heavy childhood issues, as we all do. And she went along to like an intuitive healer. And she came back one day and she was really upset. She was crying and kind of thing. And she said, "Oh, can you go to this massage? It's expensive, and I can't go because it upset her so much. She didn't want to pursue or go deeper in her own healing." So I turned up to this place, and I had a whole lot of questions. I saw this chart on the board with like all the chakras, 7 chakras, the colours of the rainbow. And somehow I knew something about this, and I was intrigued, and I started asking her about it. And we were talking for about an hour. And I said, "So are we going to have a massage or what?" And she goes, "Well, I'm an intuitive healer." And I was like, "What's that?" And she goes, "Well, I intuitively pick up on the different chakras within your body, and I can see which ones are blocked, and they will correlate to different areas of your life, like blue is your throat, which is your speech, or creativity is your solar plexus, which is yellow, or the heart, which is green." And anyway, she scanned my body, whatever, and I was like looking at her like, "What's all this?" And she goes, "Well, hop up on the bench." So I hopped up on the bench and lay down, and she goes, "Just close your eyes and breathe smoothly." And she placed her hands on my chest, and a few seconds passed, and I sort of opened my eyes, looked at her, and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And then I felt my chest just inhale, like, and I was like, "Whoa, that wasn't me. What are you doing?" And she said, "It's all right, just relax." And I said, "Well, what is this?" And she goes, "Well, it's a form of Reiki," which she learned. She spent some time in India for 2 years in meditation, learning how to tap into these energies. And it blew me away. And I was thrown off a little bit. And then she placed her hands over my face. And then this emotion started coming up. And I was fucking battling from crying. And she said, "Just relax." And I was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Stop." And I then pursued and released a lot of tied up emotion and knots in this one session. And I was like, "Whoa," and I was spinning. And she goes, "Want a glass of water?" And I was like, how did you do that? You didn't touch me. What the fuck? I thought it was a massage. And she explained further, what she was about. And I was so blown away at that point. She told me not to drink any more alcohol for the next few days or heavy food. And I went and researched it. And at 26, I then enrolled in a class to learn how to do this. So that's 21 years ago now. And I did the papers, and I started meditating and started practicing this art. And I wanted to take the shortcut because I wanted it to increase in power. So it was only later, probably 4 years later, that I went to an ashram in Thailand, in Chiang Mai in the jungle, to meditate and strengthen this ability. And this ashram, you can't touch, speak, smoke, write, music. There's nothing. You can't, touch anyone. They have all the women on one side, all the men on the other. And you meditate for like 16 hours a day. So you get up at 4 a.m. and you go to a temple. You got a little cushion, you sit on it, and you meditate for an hour, and then you get up and you have a 5-minute stretch, and you come back in, you go for another hour. Then you go out, you feed yourself, you only eat twice a day, and it's really basic food to increase your vibration, your frequency. And then you'll go back in for an hour and a half, and then you'll have a 5-minute stretch, and then you'll do another hour. And this goes on for like 10 days. So ultimately you're covering about 110 hours, and you're not forced to do it. You can go back to your little hut or your room, your bed, and lay down, because some people fall asleep during it. But I was pretty determined, and I kept pushing. And I'd never crossed my legs before. So I'm sitting in this ashram, and I'm crossing my legs, which was painful enough, and the pain just got deeper and deeper, and I just fucking was pushing on my legs. And I was saying to myself in my head, "You fucking like that, bitch. You fucking like that pain. You fucking eat it." and I would just keep pushing. And on the 5th day, I was sweating and I was getting angry and all this emotion was going on in my head, but this room was silent. And then I felt this warmth, this fire burn from the base of my spine right up my back and pop out my crown. And in that moment was like pure ecstasy and bliss, you might call it. And, I've done my fair share of drugs and got high, what have you, but this was nothing compared to this feeling. And it felt like a few minutes, but it would have been a few seconds. And when I came down, I fucking burst into tears, and I didn't want to interrupt everyone, so I got up and went out the back, hung it out the back, and I had tears ripping down my face. And I looked at all the trees, and all the colours were so sharp, and all the sounds were so acute, and the smells were so rich, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, man. And so I went back in to do it again, because I was like, I want to feel that buzz. So I sat down on my cushion, and then this is the kicker, like the yogi, he gets up and leaves, and then you can leave. So we're coming to our break to the end of the session, and as he walked out the room, I said in my mind, fuck bro, thank you so much for that fucking experience. That was the most intense shit I've ever experienced. He stopped at the door, turned around and looked straight into me, my eyes. And I was like, holy shit, he fucking heard what I said in my head. So then I shut my brain down and I locked eyes with him, and for 2 seconds, he just nodded his head and he walked out, and I was like, holy shit. And that was my first experience of fucking telepathy, on raising my vibration to such a height where he could hear what I was saying in my head. And so he got a translator the next day, and we sat down during the break, and he asked me, I did Reiki on my application form and stuff, and he said, are you a master? And I said, yeah, I completed all the papers. And he said, okay, well, you've got 2 choices. You can continue to do Reiki on people, but you'll make them go crazy because it's too much energy that you force into them. And I was like, no, I don't agree with it. I think the universe is intelligent, and people can only accept what they can handle. And so I was questioning him, and this was all translated because he was Thai. And he said, well, you can continue doing this work on yourself, that's no problem, but unless you choose the Buddhist teachings, we won't allow you back on this site or another site like it. And what I discovered is that on these specific sites and the ley lines where the energy is greatest, it is like a portal or a gateway where you can pass through different realms, and that's why you're not allowed to drink or smoke any weed or mushrooms, because you can access those doorways. Anyway, that aside, I figured out what he was doing is that all the masculine energy of the men on one side and all the feminine energy of the women on the other side, he was using with the golden turret to manifest on the other side. And that's how it works. So it's no different from when you go to sleep at night and you dream, you cross over and you construct what it is that you want to do or experience once you get conscious of being able to do it. They call it remote viewing, but and then you come back and play it out in the physical. So we're all doing it unconsciously every time we go to bed. But once you meditate and you get your frequency to such a high degree, you can consciously do it on the other side. So I discovered all this kind of stuff in 20 years ago. And, me talking about that back then, people already thought I was fucking crazy anyway. And I've kept all this to myself. But, it was, like I said, I'm 47 now, 21 years ago. And I've been meditating ever since. I wouldn't say an hour a day, because it started off at 20 minutes, 30 minutes. But in the last 5 years, I've done 2 hours a day, every morning and every night. So overall, I've done probably well over 2,000 hours of meditation. And people wonder how I've got to this place of being in happiness, because you've watched me online or what have you. you know, and it's like, oh, he just lives a luxurious life and he's so happy and he must be paid for a trust fund kid. I'm like, no, I've done the fucking work, man. And I mean, if none of you out there have done an hour of meditation, you can now understand, after doing 2,000 hours plus, how you can get to this place of peace. And it's a real struggle. But right now, I mean, that sounds kind of daunting if you want to start on your healing journey. And but right now, the powers that be are enabling people to be able to reach these levels a lot faster, because the vibration's already high. And it's just a matter of you making a choice and doing the work. And I talk about doing the work all the time, about shadow work and all the rest of it. And that's what I'm talking about. It's the inner work. It's the inner work about you and what upsets you and how you can evolve and how you can grow. And a lot of people don't understand. They're so busy, tied up, making money, thinking that's what's going to make them happy. But they're no further along, whether you got 10 million, 5 million, or fucking, $500,000 in a nice car and a family. It doesn't matter how much money you got and who you surround yourself with, you're still going to be at that place. You follow what I'm saying? So this is what I mean when it's like, be selfish with your time, with your energy. Work on you. Because what you don't do and what you don't grow and what you don't learn, your children will learn your methods. And your methods, to be quite frank, are pretty limited and lacking in any kind of evolution. And unless you teach your children this, they're going to be kept in this loop for generations. Anyway, that's a lot for today, and I just wanted to share with you, my path and how it began at 26 with Reiki. And, since then I've done a lot of other healing modalities, working with ayahuasca and mushrooms, which I've mentioned. And I will cover those in videos to come. Have a great day.